Hello, Jane Duncan Rogers here from BeforeIGoSolutions.com in collaboration with 60andMe. And today's subject is your legacy. What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind? Now, in order to do this, you have to be willing to accept that you are going to pop your clogs one day. You will not be here. You will have died, just to use the correct terminology. But let's assume that you are accepting that because otherwise you wouldn't have been on this video this long. And actually you are interested in knowing how to create what I would call a living legacy right now while you're still alive, something creatively done by you for your family to enjoy once you're no longer here. I teach a process about this, and so I wanted to say some things about how to make it nice and easy for you. But first of all, why bother doing it? Well, in an age where there's lots of stuff left behind anyway in terms of ad hoc videos and all that kind of thing, what we're talking about here is you creating something with your conscious choice about what you put into it. And that becomes a very special gift to leave behind. So in it, you would want to be highlighting some of the major things that have happened in your life, maybe some of the words of wisdom that you've learned along the way. That can be very, very precious. You might want to be sharing your sense of humor. Your voice is a wonderful thing to be able to share. And that's relatively new for those of us in this age group. Basically, you want to be ensuring that a part of you, the essence of you, lives on long after you've gone. So what you're wanting to avoid is the situation where people say, oh, I wish I had asked so-and-so about that before they died. Or so-and-so would know about that. I wish they were still here. That's the kind of thing you're wanting to avoid. So the things that you can put together right now are going to be really valuable for those coming after you. So let's have a little look at how you do this. This is a conscious choice, so it really helps to think things through beforehand. And there's lots of apps and things out there that can help you do this sort of thing, but to think it through beforehand is really helpful. So first of all, decide how you want to do it. Maybe you do want to get an app to record your story. Maybe you want to create a video. Maybe you want to write your memoirs. Maybe you already have a book or some other kind of creative thing that you want people to know about. It's not necessarily the case that people after you will know everything that you've done in your life, not unless you tell them beforehand. You might want to create a memory box, an actual physical object that you put things into, or even a special area of the room. All sorts of things. It can be as small or as big as you like. It doesn't matter because it's your creation. Okay. The other thing that I teach that is really helpful is your timeline. Create a timeline. Here we are, something really simple. Just put a line on a piece of paper like this with your birth year at one end and a question mark at the end because you don't know when you're going to die. You'll see I've put age 50 in the middle, and I've just put in a couple of things that might have happened in your life, including join 60andMe. That might be a seminal moment in your life, who knows? But basically, on this line, you're going to be putting everything that has happened to you. I would include all the major things that have happened, even just for your own record. And even if you did nothing else, that timeline would be of interest to those coming after you. But what I suggest is that you put on it things like your house moves, country moves, marriages, divorces, important deaths, births of children, when you got the first pet, all sorts of things. Anything can go in there. It doesn't matter. After all, you don't have to show it to anybody if you don't want to. But the third thing is, and you will get this from your timeline, is looking at the turning points in your life. So you've decided how you're going to do it. You've got your timeline. Now we're looking at turning points, because not everything in your life has been a turning point. A turning point is when something that you decided or to do or not to do led your life in a completely different direction, or maybe something happened with no conscious choice by yourself. Maybe something happened to you that led you to take a different path. These are really important things. And so, for example, one of them, when I was age 13, I decided that I was going to stop being shy. I know that it's maybe difficult to imagine that now, but as a child I was really shy, and I could see that I was missing out on all sorts of things. So I can remember the very moment standing at the bottom of my road when I decided I'm not going to be shy anymore, and I looked to my mum for a good role model about what to do about that. Now that made major changes in my life at that age 13, and nobody would know about those unless I said. And that kind of juicy bit of information, if you like, is really lovely for people coming afterwards to discover. And of course you can share it beforehand if you want to as well. Okay, so with turning points, I suggest that you only choose 3, up to 3, because otherwise we're going to get bogged down in a whole long life with lots of turning points. The next thing to do is to make sure you're telling stories about these turning points or events. It's really important to do this because it's all very well having the occasion of, say, your mum and dad divorced when you were age 10. That's a fact. Much more interesting for your family or your friends coming afterwards is what the story that happened for you around that. So for example, it might be, I found this really difficult because I had to choose between them. I had a room in each house, but I didn't really want that. What I really wanted was for them to stay together, even though it had been really difficult. I'm just making that one up, by the way. But you can see that it brings that event much more to life than just a bold statement of facts. Okay, so then the next thing is photos. Now, if you're in this age group, you're probably going to have loads of boxes of photos, possibly in the attic. Not to mention the ones online, but I'm talking about the physical ones. There might even be black and white ones. Here's a tip with these. Don't bother keeping the ones that are of landscapes, of your wonderful holidays, wherever it was you were. People coming afterwards are not going to be interested, and especially if they doesn't say where they are. So if you're going to sort them out into categories of maybe people that people are likely to know. But if you're going to do that, then you need to write on the back of the photograph who the person was and what the occasion was. And ideally a story would be attached to that as well. So you can see this could be a huge project in its own right. So to keep it simple, try your best to have only maybe 1 to 3 photos of any particular occasion, and that will make it much more manageable. Okay, this is just a tiny introduction to quite a big subject. I hope you have fun doing this, and let us know, have you done anything like this before, and if so, what? That would be really interesting to hear. And if you haven't done anything, what, as a result of listening to this video, do you think that you might get going with? It'll be lovely to read those answers.